Hey everyone, Sai here. After sitting through countless videos in our booming 4DM3 class, I finally arrived at the answer to my question. The question that I've been thinking about for quite some time now is what really makes the audience pay attention? I realized that the audio is what truly captures the attention of a group and helps keep them entertained throughout the duration of your content. As someone that loves working with multimedia, I know firsthand the value that professional grade equipment adds to your content. Knowing this, I decided to dig around and see how the average Joe can beef up their content in a way to replicate having this type of expensive studio setup. I actually ran into a nice feature on a program called Adobe Audition that will help anyone clear up all that annoying background noise in their videos. Before I begin, I just want to talk to you guys about how microphones pick up sound and how they are represented in various sound editing programs such as Adobe Audition or another free program such as Audacity. When we record audio, they are picked up in different frequencies depending on their decibel content and distance from the recording device. Usually, this is measured in hertz, or Hz, and is depicted visually in the form of a wave. Waves usually peak at louder volumes, and sounds picked up further away or that are quieter are much smaller. Essentially, what the goal here is to eliminate the frequencies or wavelengths that we don't want. Usually, there are wavelengths that correspond to sounds that we don't want to hear in our video. These could be the sound from the AC running, someone slamming the door in the room next to you, or just the sound of you swallowing, breathing really heavily. The tutorial that I'm about to show you helps you scan for your audio and remove any weird audio infractions you might notice, and effectively silence them from all the main audio in your clip, so you can be heard in a crystal clear fashion.
Alright friends, I think it's time for us to begin the actual tutorial that will help us clean our audio up. First off, you should have a pair of headphones ready with you before beginning because it helps with listening in on smaller noises that often cannot be heard on your computer's main speaker system. Okay, pop those headphones in and let's begin our journey through the world of editing. The software we'll be using today is called Adobe Audition. This software is part of the Adobe Creative Cloud, which is a paid software that comes at a massive discount to post-secondary students. Although this tutorial is going to be focused around this specific software, the process is almost identical to other free softwares such as Audacity. We want to start off by booting up our software and finding our source file. So we go File, Open, and then we go find whatever file, usually in an MP3 format, that we want to reduce our audio with. The file format we open up will vary depending on the type of program that we use to record the initial audio. However, it is usually MP3 or M4V. Once the file is opened up in Adobe Audition, the first thing we should notice is the length of our clip and a whole bunch of random waves now covering our screens. Usually, the waves are spread out in long intervals, and thus we cannot use individual seconds on our timeline. We want to make it so that you can use smaller intervals because this is how we're going to rid our file of all that extra noise. This is exactly how the audio sounds right before we finish our editing.
In our work, we use histology as one of the major methodologies to assess damage to uterine tissues and fetal tissues.
We want to start off by identifying the band or wavelength that the noise we want to remove is at. To do this, we go through individual seconds of our audio and see where something we don't like can be heard. Usually, if it's not something really loud or the main focus, the peak is rather small. Once we identify this peak, we want to tell the software that this is what we don't want. We do this by highlighting just a portion of the track we hear that annoying noise and going to Effect, Noise Reduction, and then capturing the noise print. A noise print is essentially a template the software uses to go off of to eliminate whatever section selected in that segment so we can apply the effect to. Now that we have identified the template from our clip, we obviously want to remove this noise from our whole audio file. So we can go ahead and select all or the whole audio file to apply our noise reduction option to. Once the clip is selected, we hit Noise Reduction Process in the same tab as the noise print is capturing. Essentially, this option opens up a window with a whole bunch of new options. This new key tab may be confusing at first, but in actuality, it is very easy to pick up because we only need to worry about two sliders in the whole window. The two options we need to worry about are the reduce by and the noise reduction sliders that we see right in the middle of our screen. The reduce by slider is what controls the decibel strength of our clip or how loud our audio is. Normally, I worry about this option secondly, and I'll tell you why in a minute. The first slider we want to worry about is the noise reduction slider. Essentially, this is a prize or jackpot we really want to hit, because this one slider essentially controls and helps us eliminate all the selected noise in our captured noise print. To achieve this ideal level of removal, we need to test the level of output that sounds really good to us. Levels would often range between 50 to 90%. Once we hit an acceptable level of removal, we want to move back to our second slider, which is the reduce by slider. The reason we do this second is because depending on how good the reduction is, sometimes we don't need to reduce the strength of the audio file. Again, there isn't a fixed preset for this slider to achieve optimal quality, and we want to test out different levels and check for yourself which sounds really good to you. Oftentimes, I stay near the beginning of the spectrum, up to around 10 decibels, because I don't want to skewer the sound too much. Once you have picked your ideal settings, you just hit apply and your whole clip should have the settings applied to. This is what it sounds after we apply our noise reduction process.
In our work, we use histology as one of the major methodologies to assess damage to uterine tissues and fetal tissues.
Obviously, you can see the huge difference in the audio quality. I hope you guys have successfully learned how to apply this feature to your audio, and I hope in the future you guys will benefit from this neat tool just like I have in many of my projects.